the St Helens win. How good a performance did you feel that one was from your side?
Yeah, I think it was definitely our best performance to date in 2025. I really liked the way we defended. I really liked the way we started the game. We had some intent about what we did, and it was two good teams going at it. So, half time, probably like to be a little bit more ahead on the scoreboard. I think from the way that we played, but we also knew, what we. The fatigue that we put in the opposition in that first 40 would hopefully pay us back. We certainly made things harder than what it needed to be at the back end. But again, we played against a very good team who's not going to go away. So, yeah, a lot of learnings from a good performance.
Would you say that was your best performance so far this year?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
You said afterwards as well about keeping your feet on the ground. I know the fans were pretty excited at the end of the match after that, but did you manage to find a balance between that and also enjoying the win as well?
Yeah, I think you've got to enjoy every win. I mean, the season this year, it's really competitive. I mean, you can see by the first 4 rounds that, anyone can beat anyone on their day. So that makes the competition exciting. But what it also says is, you've got to enjoy the little wins along the way. We're big on that. But as I said, you've got to keep your feet on the ground. It's round 4. It's early days. There's a lot of rugby to be played. This side of, after the Challenge Cup, and we've got the Challenge Cup this week. So then you have quarters, semis, finals, whoever's in those. So there's a lot of rugby to be played. So certainly happy with the start, but also aware that it's only the beginning.
Just one more question, sort of relating back to the other night, was the way that you worked your substitutions. Obviously, Dean Hadley, you lost early with the concussion. It looked like a game of chess at one point about who was bringing back their big men when. So in a situation like that, do you look at what the opposition's doing as well as they're rotating the players, or is it very much just solely about your side?
Yeah, well, it's mainly about us. We always control what we can, and that's we lost a little bit of control because we had Dean Hadley, like you said, go off. So we used 4 in the first half. This year we've been using 3. In the past we've only used 2. So to use 4 was a lot for us. So we had to be strategic in terms of the way we did use our interchange. So what it meant was Sam luckily had to go a little bit more, a little bit longer than what we probably planned for, and he did a good job doing that. And then rotating the other big guys. At one stage, we're going to go Joel Whitbread was going to finish the game, but we didn't want to sort of conserve his energy. He went all out, so we thought it was best to get him off. So it was around what we did. But certainly, you look back when Wormsley was going back on, we had conversations in the box around what they did as well. But no, it wasn't reactive. It was more around what we could control.
You've obviously had to use a couple of players in the last couple of weeks that maybe are on the fringes of your squad. Obviously, Jack Broadbent came in and did a great job at full-back. I know he's played centre already for this year. Danny Richardson's been around as well. How do you keep players like that happy when maybe they're not going to necessarily always be your first choice? Yeah,
look, I think they just want to play. So what I try and do is get them playing. So in Danny Richardson's case, when he went out to Huddersfield at the start of the season for that game, I think it was, he was sort of and ahhing whether to go, is it the right decision? I said, absolutely, mate, to go and, play in a Super League team at a good club against good opposition is only going to be a benefit. And then, when we did use him, he'd had that experience. So on the weekend, Danny went and played against St Helens reserves, and we played a number of our players in that game. So the key is playing them. But naturally, they all want to be playing first team, and I get that. But I've said it all along, we do make decisions based on around training. We make decisions based on around our pre-season. It changes now because you're in season. So, but again, we still look at how players are training, how they're responding, what are their attitudes like. I use Sam luckily as a perfect example the week before where Sam was 18th man. He came in the sheds after the warm-up and he was the most vocal, So things like that I'm looking at as a coach and I go, it says a lot about someone, their character and more so around who they are as a teammate. So they're all the things that we look for. But it's a difficult one because you want the players playing and that's when they're most happy. Certainly not, they want to be playing first team. So it's just finding that balance of trying to get them games when they're not selected.
And is it a balance as well of communication between coach and player as to where they are in your thoughts and maybe what they're looking at as well?
Yeah, look, I think most players probably are aware sort of where we see them, but it changes very quickly. I mean, Sam Luckley is a perfect example in terms of, he was in the 21, then he made his way to, 18th, and then he got an opportunity to play, and then he played again last week. You've got to be ready. You've got to be ready.
So let's move on to this weekend and Challenge Cup. I'll start off with your team first. Did Tyrone May and Mikey Lewis come through okay after the weekend?
Yeah, they did. We're going to have a look at Mikey because he came back, come back relatively early, didn't he? He was only a week off, so just got to see how he goes this week. But also, Tyrone's been good. He trained well today and he's backed up.
Dean Hadley clearly will be going through his concussion protocols, but how is he?
Yeah, Dean's good. He had a bit of dizziness and obviously didn't pass his testing, so he'll just go through what he needs to go through this week, and we'll get him back the week after against Lee.
And Niall Evans?
Yeah, so Niall will be in contention for this week. He needs to get one more tick. He's got to see the specialist, but we're assuming everything will be okay there, and then available this week for selection. Yeah.
And we see Rhyse Martin's had his surgery. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's good. Spoke to him a couple of times, and he's it's one of those. He's looking at the positives. He's looking at everything that he can control. He's an intelligent guy. He's doing a uni degree on the outside, and so he can invest a fair bit of time into that. And I think it's important that he keeps his mind stimulated, and we keep him stimulated, and just to keep giving him that purpose. That's the key. So initially, it's about rest, recover, and then it'll certainly be helping him be able to just to keep, as I said, keep him stimulated, keep him engaged with the group. But also, it's a good opportunity for him to do some things that you either put off or in and around his uni. So that's important to him.
Sounds like every cloud's got a silver lining potential there if he's doing uni work as well. But how hard do you have to work as a club in situations like that to make sure players still stay involved and still feel part of it?
Yeah, it's what we do. I think as staff we have ongoing conversations around where, like for example, where Rhyse is at the moment. What's the plan for him going forward? It's not just around his recovery. It's around the mindfulness sort of stuff. It's around mental approach, and as I said, how do we keep him engaged? How do we give him that purpose? So it's important. It can be a long road ahead for players, but we can certainly make it easier as a club for how we support him and how we support the family, and it's all part of our job.
So the Challenge Cup this weekend, what are your thoughts regarding selection approaching it? Obviously, I know you're not going to give us your team, but where are you with plans for that?
Yeah, so we'll obviously go in with a strong side, to put in a performance like we did last week. That's our aim. We'll name the team, or we'll obviously name the 21 tomorrow, and then work out the side, the 17 later on in the week. But nothing changes in terms of our approach and how we want to approach the game and the performance that we want to deliver.
I guess you've already faced one championship side in York, and you know how good an opponent a team from that division could be. Yeah,
I learnt that. I've said it a couple of times when I first come over and we played Featherston and they beat us 28-0. My first game here, and we had a strong team. We played some young kids in the back end, but in that first half we were getting beat 12-0 at the time. So I learned a lot from that game. Not around not taking teams lightly, but just around what the level of the championship, what it was about, and then in turn, how we approach the game and how certain individuals approach that game. So, it's all around. We always talk about what we can control, and we can control how we prep each week, and that won't change. And if I do see any change in that, then we'll certainly come down on it.
It certainly seemed in that York game your players were very much switched on and there to do a job. I guess you don't have any problems then keeping them on the same page as you, as you don't take this team lightly.
No, I think I've got a group now that, over the course of 3 years, you obviously build more trust with the players, they build more trust with you. I certainly trust the players, that's for sure. So the way you get that trust is what they do at training, it's what they do in and around the place. So, how professional are they in their approach to the game and their performance. So, that builds a lot of trust with us as staff. we ended up giving them another day off yesterday, but it was a day away from the club. It wasn't a day off. It was a day for them to do their weights away or do their active recovery and do what they need to do in preparation for today. So there's a fair bit of trust that goes into that, but that's built over a couple of years now of working with the players and understanding the individuals. So we know what we'll get from them. What we got from them today was positive. As I say, we're not getting ahead of ourselves, but we believe we know what we're going to get in terms of a strong performance again Friday.
And do you know what you're going to get in terms of opposition? How much have you looked at Oldham so far?
Yeah, we've done a normal preview on what we do on any opposition. Look, they've had a number of wins this year. I think the first defeat was on the weekend. They had a few players that they rested. They played York after we played them and had a big win against York, who's a good championship team. We know what they're capable of. They've got a lot of experience there in there with ex-Super League players. Drinkwater's managing their team extremely well at half. They've got some good forward, decent pack there, which in terms of size. So we've approached the game like any other. We've previewed the game like any other, and we'll be approaching, as I say, our prep like a normal Super League game.
And one player that I guess you've had an eye on in various situations, Phoenix Lalu Tonga guy. Will it be quite good to catch up and see him?
Yeah, so Phoenix, he trains with us each week. So we've got him for, we call it game day -3, our main session. So he trains with us. He's been with us this week. Obviously, he's not going to be cup tied to another team. So Fee's with us every week, and we monitor his progress and games every week. So he's with us. Yeah, he's with us for the week.
Brilliant, that'll do me. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hi Willie, how you doing?
Hey Matt, how are you, mate?
Not bad. Just in terms of team selection, with the match limits and the minutes and do you have to be mindful of overplaying players early in the season, or is it not really a consideration for you?
Yeah, you got to look at. We look at loads all the time. Whether it be training or whether it be game loads, and then. Yeah, you look at when you can sort of rest people or who needs a rest basically, or who needs a spell from training, certain blocks at training. So we look at that all the time. So it's something that we do week to week.
I've got to ask you about the Craven Park news we've seen today and the region. I appreciate it's not your remit and you won't be overlooking the architecture, everything like that, but just from the head coach's perspective and some of the rugby things that are being planned as well, just how positive a step is that for the club? Yeah,
it's outstanding for the club. It's exciting. It's exciting for our community and the opportunities it's going to bring to not only for us internally but externally as well, and the community. We've always been a club that engages strongly with our community. We know where we're from and who we are, and I think this adds to it. It just shows how our board and Paul Aiken and the people above, they're forward thinkers, and it's putting the club in a strong position for many years to come. But as I said, it's not only about us; it's about the community and how we can engage with them. And this project's certainly going to do that.
Just asking about Olly Gildart. Obviously, attracted the headlines at the weekend with his 2 tries. I know that the first, I think he said this openly, didn't quite go as he would have wanted with injuries and form and so on. Just how important could that be for his whole career and getting to where he wants to be, and I'm sure where you want him to be as well? Yeah,
I think the key for Gilly is just to get a run of games together because we know what he can do. His ability and his talent, no one questions that. I think it was just probably last year he just didn't get any flow to his game because he had the injuries. There's some unlucky injuries there that happen. And I think he's working hard now. He's working hard now on his prep and his body to maintain that whatever he's in control of, that he's in control of. Injuries that possibly happen when players get complacent, and all that sort of stuff. So he's definitely not doing that. And then there's obviously the unlucky ones that happen. So the key for Gilly, mate, is just to keep those runner games going and build from what he did last week. I think it's probably his best game to date at the club, and the reason being was he was involved, and he was doing the physical stuff. He was the way he carried the ball, he had some intent about him. But Gilly's underrated with his defence. He didn't get caught out, but I thought it was an obstruction. That last one, the lead runner was on the outside shoulder, and it was half a metre, but that's all it needs to be. So people probably think Gilly missed the tackle there, but I think his defence is underrated as well, and I've been happy with that. So as long as he gets that right first, I know what we're going to get with his attack. But hopefully we see his best rugby ahead.
Just lastly, I've got to ask you, because the Wigan documentary came out, and the clip that they're using to advertise the entire thing is the discussion, shall we say, that you and Matt Pete had after the Challenge Cup semi-final. I don't know if you've seen it. I just wanted your thoughts on that. I think it's nearly a year ago now, but it's the first time a lot of people are seeing it. So just your perspective on that, if you could, please. Yeah,
like you said, mate, it was a long time ago. We're both competitive, and you have a few words or whatever it is, after a game. And Matt, to his credit, called me the week after, or that week, and we had a good chat on the phone. It was there's not much in it. It was a bit of two coaches after a game having a chat.
Is that sort of stuff common? Like I don't know if that's the thing that you would expect to happen all the time.
No, well, What happened wasn't common. That's it's something that happened that day. It might be common, possibly other coaches, I'm not sure, but I don't think it is. It was just, Matt said something. Obviously, I said a few things back, and that was it. We ended up shaking hands, and we spoke during the week. We played them at Wigan. We had a good chat at Wigan, and obviously grand final. So, I respect Matt, and I said that. He's doing great things at Wigan, and it's it was a year ago, or whatever it was now. So it was a long time ago.
All fun and games. Cheers, Willie.
Cheers, mate.
Hi, Willie. It's Martin here.
Hey, Martin. How are you, mate?
Fine, and congratulations on being top of the league. You're there by yourself at the moment. 8 points, 4 games. It could hardly go much better. Obviously, everybody now realises that you're a strong team and a major contender for every trophy that's going. Did you envisage being at the top of the league before the start of the season after 4 games?
Oh, you don't sort of say, look, we want to be on top of the league after 4 games, but we certainly had we did have a block there that we wanted to tick off for 4 games, and we achieved that. So internally we had our own little KPIs of what we wanted to achieve. But we're just fortunate that we're at the moment we're on top on our own. But as I said before, Martin, it's early days, mate. We're not getting carried away. There's a lot of good teams in the competition, and there's plenty of rugby to be played. So as much as we're happy about where we're sitting at the moment, it's more around, I suppose, how we perform, and that's probably what the most pleasing thing is at the moment, was our performance last week.
And there are some benchmark games, aren't there, where you really, there's games that are almost sent to test you, and St Helens away would certainly be one of those. That must be particularly satisfying to get that win. Yeah, definitely.
It's it shows how far we've come, as a club. Previously there was talk last year around that we couldn't win away, and we did that last year by beating St Helens and Warrington and Lee. When we travelled over there, but you've got to keep doing that. You can't just do it for a year. You've got to continue that, and we did on the weekend. We played against a very good St Helens team. Like, Saints are back to being the Saints that everyone knows, purely because they've got everyone on the field. That's been the challenge, I think, for Saints last year, was they had a lot of injury, and but once they got their team back on the field, they pushed Warrington right to the end in that last game last year, and obviously now they've started the season well. It's to go over there, mate, and put in a performance that we did. We're really happy.
I was particularly impressed by your left side attack. I mean, the partnership between Gilly and Joe Burgess looks terrific at the moment, at least to me. And you must be pretty happy with it, I would imagine. Yeah,
they're best of mates, so that certainly helps. They understand each other off the field, and they've got that relationship and understanding on the field. So it's one of those where you doesn't have to take time to gel. That's why they wanted to play together. I think there's a good balance there of having those two on the left, and then we've got Tom and Peta on the right. So, yeah, the combinations on both edges are working well at the moment, so we just need to make sure that continues.
And can I just give a shout for Jack Broadbent, because he's a player I've rated for a long time, but it's never quite made it as a regular first-grade player, it seems to me. But, I think, if Niall Evans is back available for selection this week, you're going to have a bit of a headache, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think the way Jack played in the last 2 games has certainly put some pressure on that position in terms of who plays there. So it's something that myself and the coaching staff need to come up with. But yeah, really happy with Jack. He can play. He plays fullback. He can play centre. He can play wing. He's played all those positions for us. You can put him in the halves if you need to, but he's certainly played those other positions for us, and he's always done a good job. So we know what we're going to get from Jack. And again, with Jack, he's best years are ahead for sure. He's only early 20s. He pushed his way in the team last year and played in the grand final. That's what we think of him here. So you can only pick 17 each week. That's the tough part, but you need to have players that are ready to go, and Jack's certainly one of those players.
You mentioned Sam Luckley managing to get his way into the 17, Willie. Another guy who probably is in the same position in a way was the 18th man at the weekend, Jack Brown. And I noticed all the 4 guys who didn't make the 17 all played for your reserve team the following day, in a very strong reserve match actually against St Helens, because they had a strong side, and you won again 28-16. You must be quite pleased to see that. And is your strategy going to be to put your players into your reserve grade side rather than send them on loan elsewhere?
It's a difficult one. So we've got FC this week. Obviously Derby, played St Helens, who are a strong team as we know. So we wanted to put as many players into that game like we'll do this week against FC. And I think it's Wigan the one after that. So certainly be looking at fielding a strong team. But I think the way it is at the moment, the championship is that next best tier under the Super League. So we want to get as many of our younger guys out playing in the championship against men, because you don't know what you're going to get in terms of the opposition or what they're going to put out in their reserves until the RFL improve that area. So at the moment, we look at the reserves as I said before, as an opportunity for the players to play. That's what we want, and they want as well. Sometimes the players don't, to be honest, in terms of reserves, because of the way the competition is at the moment. But what we can control is who we put out, and like you said, St Helens had a good young side as well. So to answer your question, probably the championship is that next tier that we try and get players out. But certainly when we're coming up, against your Wiggins and Saints and FCs who do field stronger teams, we'll certainly field a stronger team as well.
And final point, Challenge Cup this weekend. Are you sort of equally focused on the Challenge Cup and the league competition this year?
Yeah, any competition we want to go after. It's pay the respect to any trophy that's available. In the Challenge Cup, we've been close before, and it'd be nice to be able to go one better. So yeah, looking forward to improving what we did last week against Oldham at home on Friday.
Okay, mate. Good luck, and thanks, Willie. Great
Cheers.
to speak to you.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks, mate.
Hi, Willie. Can I
Pete.
just ask you one really quick one, sort of slightly left field? Noah Booth at Hunslow. Just wondered how close an eye you're keeping on him, and what you think of his performances. I think he scored in their last 4 games, obviously going quite well in the Championship. Yeah,
he's scored a few 90-metre or 80-metre tries, a couple of intercepts. So we monitor everyone that goes out. We monitor each week and look at their attack, defence, what they can work on, what they're doing well. So we're happy with how he started. Noah, he's just coming into to our organisation, but happy with he's physically. He looks good. He's an athletic player. So again, his best years are ahead. He'll have a pre-season with us, which our pre-season's known has been pretty tough. So he'll be better for that. But certainly, we monitor their progress every week, and happy with what he's doing. And he'll work his way into hopefully being a first team player.
And that's an example of what you were talking about a minute ago. Is it an opportunity for him to play, obviously, at a good standard, week in, week out, against seasoned professionals?
Yeah, definitely. They're playing against men, so he gets his best learning. And you know what it's about, playing against full-grown men. You don't often get that in the reserves because it's a mixture of guys that are coming back and young academy players. So it is a step up, but we look and see how they handle that physically, and he's working on that. That's probably the area. He's only young, so in 2 or 3 years' time, he's going to be physically better than what he is now. But he's certainly an athlete. He's quick, so looking forward to seeing him develop.
Thanks, Willie. All the best for this weekend.
Cheers. Thank you. Like reports in the media in Australia and the NRL. So, Jared's more than happy here, and Jared will see his contract out for this year. Not sure if approaches have been made. I don't think approaches have been made from the Roosters, from my understanding. But had conversations with Jared, and he's more than happy, and we look forward to seeing him play throughout the year.
Willie, just quickly on that, have you spoke to him about next year yet, or is it far too soon to be having discussions about 2026?
Yeah, we've had minimal sort of chats, but that'll be made entirely up to Jared. Jared's going to make the call with that. He's earned the right to decide whether he wants to go again or whether it's time to retire. Either way, we'd support it. We'd love Jared around longer term. But if Jared decided that it was his last year and he wanted to finish, then obviously we'd have to support that. But look, Jared's a player for us. People can put numbers on carries and how many metres someone runs and all that sort of stuff. But the numbers you can't put on Jared, or you can't put on his culture, and in terms of standards and intensity, it's very hard to put a number on that. And I haven't seen many better than Jared. But as I say, like what he gives us on the field, we're happy with. But it's what he gives us off the field, and he certainly brought a lot of or added to our culture. Certainly lifted our intensity and our standards.